Okay, we're on board flight Aerolíneas Argentinas 1181. We're just coming after about 10 hours of isolation flying over the ocean. We're just over land right now at waypoint Satin, S-A-T-I-N, and this is the first sighting of the land after 10 hours of overnight crossing on the Pacific. We're at 38,500 feet.
Very enthusiastic. Congratulations. Yeah. Our engineer department of Aerolíneas Argentinas many years ago developed these special routes that then another airlines like Chile or Qantas or whatever started to use, like Shepson did all around the world, for example. And we made these transpolar routes.
See.
We created this in the 1980. That is why the name, the number of the flight, 1180, the inbound flight. And we were the first airliner all around the world to make this kind of flight and these so big latitudes. And Buenos Aires, Sydney is the longest flight ever made for any airliner. The inbound flight, due to the winds, depends, arrives up to 16 hours and 45 minutes. Flight time, not block. Just when you take off until.
Would you need a refuel in Ushuaia or in Rio Gallegos?
No.
Or you think you can go non-stop in very strong headwind condition?
The most worst condition for us lead us to a flight of 16 hours and 45 minutes, which is a lot, my friends. It's a lot.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable non-stop flying. And we have almost 13 and a half, 13, here is New Zealand, Australia is here.
Yes.
13 and a half flying over nothing. It's nothing.
And you don't call on radio. Do you call to Antarctica and Murdo?
Yes.
You have to communicate.
No, we communicate with Auckland Oceanic by HF and Santiago, Chile, Oceanic by HF. We are out of communication since 1.5 hours because we cannot read.
So how
Santiago.
long was the last communication?
Oh, the last communication with Auckland Control.
And now
in the latitude.
we have communication with
in the longitude one
to the control. This is cellular position and the flight level. Because we are
3-5.
Yes, in block flight. Yeah.
Because we cannot contact via HF.
Yeah.
We use the ACAR systems
Acres.
to communicate with our base in Argentina, and they will retransmit the communication to the oceanic control of Chile.
See.
Okay? Sometimes we used to communicate by HF with an Antarctica base, not McMurdo, but an Argentinian base called Marambio. Marambio, yes. Maybe you Google it and you will find it out. It's an Antarctica base, just to say hello, we are here and we are okay.
So Argentina has a territory in Antarctica.
Yes. That's
It's a base.
huge territory in Antarctica. This peninsula more or less, with several bases, Navy bases, Air Force bases, and Army bases. Well.
So would that be your alternative if anything happened? Could you land in this Argentinian station?
No, because the airports are not appropriate to land this place. No. Anyway, we are
has some ice runway.
We are far away
You're
from
far
everywhere.
away from it, yeah.
We are about 2,500 kilometers or 1,500 miles from the South Pole. We are far away from everywhere.
How far south in latitude you think this
Okay.
route goes? I heard it says as far as 71 degrees south.
Exactly, but it's not in this map. Yes, here you can see in this map up to 72 degrees of latitude. You see?
Yes.
So how many sets of standard published routes you can choose during? I guess it's up to the wind condition. And
It's up to the wind
so
condition.
would you use 72
And not
often
only-
or no? Not often.
Yes.
You would use that often as well.
It's due to the wind condition, absolutely. But we face another problem that we are not contemplated in the manufacturer of the aircraft. Flying at these latitudes, we have so big frozen point of the fuel,
Yes.
and the aircraft is on its limit. Sometimes we face the problem of to have the, I will put you the page of the fuel management system here. Sometimes we arrive to the point where we reach the freezing point of the fuel in the outer tanks. These one are the outer tanks of the system, and sometimes we suffer the problem of the freezing point of the fuel, which is risky a lot.
Right.
Sorry for my English, is not so good, but
No,
maybe
it's perfect. It's perfect.
it's good an idea for you to understand. And well, sometimes we have the alarms
Oh.
regarding telling us that the fuel is going to be freeze
Yes.
in a moment, and we have to perform different actions.
What action do you need to take?
Okay, well, the first action is to transfer the fuel from the outer tanks to the inner tanks, where we have a heater interchange, and we can heat a little bit the fuel. If this is not enough, we must absolutely go down
Oh.
to a warmer atmosphere.
To what extent you think to lower than 30,000?
Minimum, we have to go down minimum 10,000
10,000 feet.
in order to reach a warmer atmosphere.
Does this happening quite regularly?
Well, what happened to me was to reach the freezing point and to have the need to go down 10 levels, 10,000 feet
Yeah.
down. But in the worst, you must turn northbound, make it
Northbound.
northbound in
Oh.
order to leave the frozen latitudes.
So this will add more flight time.
It will lead you to more flight times, and you have to make a decision whether to continue the flight to the final destination, that in case is Sydney, or to go to your alternate, that we have only one alternate, Auckland.
Auckland. You don't go to
Or
Christchurch. Yeah,
or
Christchurch.
Christchurch,
Yeah.
if it is operative. But Christchurch has another limitation. If Christchurch is under fog with bad visibility condition, they don't have the capability to have category 3 landing. So the only one airport
No category 3.
with cat 3 is Auckland. Yeah.
I see.
South 70, close to Lassie.
Yeah.
54 South 80.
80.
Should be, where is it?
Yeah.
Here,
Okay.
made this route. 5770,
Yeah.
5960, made this route. Here, and we are going to Bariloche and Balmaceda, Chile, and Bariloche, Argentina. This route.
So what's the most south waypoint we have?
In this route,
We have 49, 54, 60 south.
60 latitude. And
And
we
this
fly
is-
this latitude for 1, 2, 3, 4 waypoints.
4 waypoints.
entonces, autorizado el 390, cambien el block por el nivel 390 y notifiquen la vertical de Balmaceda.
390 notificaron la vertical de Balmaceda, que tiene una 181.
Correcto, no hay que.
We are going to have nice scenarios of the southern Patagonia, between the Chilean and Argentinian Patagonia.
Inside an artificial horizon or attitude indicator, the gyroscope, rigidity in space. Here is the rotor of the artificial horizon. This is a vacuum instrument. You can see the little notches there that catch the air and drive this rotor at high speed, high RPM. And here's a reminder of a simple gyroscope. So if I spin this, we see the rigidity in space. And what we have with this rotor is the same thing. I can support it here, and it spins like that. It spins at high speed, and it fits into the instrument in that chamber like this. I'll put it in a moment, but let's look at the air supply. There's the back of the instrument, and that's the air inlet from the filter. That's the suction line from the engine, the vacuum pump, and that's the gauge attachment for the vacuum gauge. So the air goes in there and through this bearing and up this side of the gimbal structure, and there we see the copper colored air inlet into the chamber. So a jet of air comes out from there and drives the rotor round and round, a bit like a water wheel. We see little marks there, little pieces drilled away for balancing, I think. So that goes in there, and I will assemble it. So what I've done now is I've fitted the rotor, the brass gyro rotor there. It's fitted into its chamber. This is the way it came apart, with these little nuts here, and now we have this piece, and this is this divides the chamber into four in a clever way, so that the air comes out of one of these four slots. There's a little slot there, and similarly there, and there, and that's how the gyro balances itself in 1G or 1G flight or on the ground when it's first spun up. So this fits on like that, so that it divides the space between the slots. So I'll just put that together.
So now I've assembled the rotor into its chamber, into its case there, with the single nut there, and I've reassembled these little copper strips, copper pendulum strips you might call them, and these open and close little air slots for the air exhaust, and this is how the gyro stabilizes itself after startup. The gyro, the rotor will stay vertical throughout, and then the aircraft will move around the gyro. So as the aircraft moves around the gyro, we see that the display at the front here will move up and down, and it's moved by a little pin attached to the chamber, to the gyro chamber, and that little pin moves in a slot here and moves the display up and down in pitch.
Just like a top, am I right? Just like the top that you guys had when you were a kid. That's all it is. So as you try to move it, it resists. See it moving there? And an outer gimbal. You guys have done that as well. You've looked at gimbals.
The gimbals, no, show them that.
Okay. And then an outer gimbal with 360. So you can barrel roll an aircraft. Can you notice that if the top of this rotor is facing the roof, no matter what I do with this, it stays where it is.
Stays pointing up.
Yeah. So you're pressing on the back.
Michael stands to the side so you can see.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, pressing the back, it's going that way. It's 90 degrees.
Can you notice that if the top of this rotor is facing the roof, no matter what I do with this, it stays where it is.
Stays pointing up.
Yeah. So you're pressing on the back.
Michael stands to the side so you can see.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, pressing the back, it's going that way. It's 90 degrees.
Check and adjust the attitude indicator as required for your type of aircraft. Hold your brakes and advance the throttle to the recommended pre-takeoff power setting. When the airspeed nears takeoff speed, acceleration error in the attitude indicator is approximately 1 bar width. So you adjust the pitch attitude as required for your aircraft to assume the takeoff attitude. When airborne, maintain this pitch attitude and use the attitude indicator to control both pitch and bank. As soon as the altimeter and vertical velocity show a stabilized rate of climb, retract your gear. Generally speaking, an unusual attitude is the result of a careless cross-check. But there can be a number of other reasons, such as turbulence, instrument failure, vertigo, or pilot confusion. There are two main types of unusual attitudes: nose low, indicated by increasing airspeed, and nose high, which is indicated by a decreasing airspeed. Your recovery procedure will depend upon whether the attitude indicator is operating properly or not. Let's consider the technique of recovery used when the attitude indicator is functioning properly. An immediate reference to the bank index pointer tells you what your bank attitude is. If it's on the right side, you are in a left bank. If it's on the left side, you are in a right bank. If the bank index pointer is anywhere in the lower half of the instrument case, you are in inverted flight. If you remember that the bank index pointer always points to the sky, and think of the fuselage dot as a canopy, you can see that the quickest way to get right side up is to raise your low wing, rolling toward the bank index pointer. Your next step is to determine whether you are in a dive or a climb. Note the relationship between the miniature aircraft, the horizon bar, and the bank index pointer. In any diving situation, the horizon bar and bank index pointer are close together and never separated by the miniature aircraft. To confirm the dive, cross-check your other instruments. Airspeed shows an increase. The altimeter, a loss of altitude. And the vertical velocity, a descent. To recover, start a roll to right side up. Reduce power, and extend your drag devices if available. Then establish level flight on the attitude indicator. Begin a normal cross-check and raise your drag devices. Increase power when the airspeed is normal. In any climbing situation, the horizon bar and bank index pointer are far apart, and the miniature aircraft is always between them. You confirm the climb by cross-checking your other instruments. Airspeed shows a decrease. Altimeter, an increase. Vertical velocity shows a climb. To recover, add power and roll to bring the bank index pointer toward the nearest 90-degree bank index mark. Allow the nose to drop smoothly. Then re-establish a wings level, slightly nose-low attitude. Next, assume level flight. Immediately after recovering, resume a normal cross-check. Reduce power when the airspeed is back to normal.
Now, in this short video, I'll offer a few tips to help jumpstart your instrument training using the traditional 6-pack of steam gauges in a single-engine airplane. You'll learn to scan the pertinent instruments looking for information from 2 or more instruments to confirm what the airplane is doing. This is called cross-checking. Then we'll interpret this information and finally control the airplane based on the data we've collected from those instruments. How you scan is a personal preference. You can utilize the radial cross-check where you look at the attitude indicator, then glance from the AI to other instruments, or the inverted V, which also begins with the AI. Or you can use the rectangular cross-check, which is what I tend to use. The rate of your scan will change based on the demands of the flight situation. You'll learn what to look for, when to look for it, and what response to make. Now, you want to be aware of fixation. This is a condition where you're so focused on one instrument, such as holding altitude, that you neglect what's happening with other instruments. Omission of an instrument from your cross-check is another likely error. It's many times the result of fixating on another instrument. And emphasis on a single instrument instead of the combination of instruments necessary for attitude information is common during the initial stages of training. You want to rely on the instruments that give you the best available information for what you're trying to achieve in the airplane at that moment. Now, we don't have time to cover every possible flight scenario in this video, but for example, if you're trying to maintain straight and level flight, the primary instrument for pitch is going to be your VSI followed by your altimeter. Primary for bank is the heading indicator, and primary for power is your airspeed indicator. When we change the flight condition of the airplane, we'll most often use the attitude indicator as a primary instrument to begin and end that change, such as in a climb, a descent, or a turn, and then begin to cross-check with other instruments to confirm that we've achieved the desired bank or climb rate. Well, let's get into a Cessna Skylane now and run through some of these instrument basics. So I'm going to roll through a lot of these tips about flying under the hood, basic attitude instrument flying really quickly. This is something we cover couple 1-hour lessons actually, but the first thing is to disregard whatever you're feeling when you're under the hood from your inner ear and what your body's telling you, because you're getting wrong indications. And as soon as you realize that and trust your instruments, the quicker you'll get the grasp of this instrument flying. The other thing you want to do is fly with a light grip on the control wheel. You don't really want to let go of it, but if you can fly with 2 fingers rather than the G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip on the yoke, you'll have a better feel for what's going on with the airplane. You can fix slight deviations and corrections a lot sooner. Now remember, our gyro instruments are these two, the attitude indicator and the heading indicator, and they're powered by the vacuum system in the airplane. This particular airplane has dual vacuum pumps and annunciators to tell us if one or the other goes out. We have a turn coordinator, and it even says on it that it's DC, it's electric, so that's indicating our bank from a different power source. Of course, we have the airspeed indicator, which is the only instrument that uses the pitot system, also uses the static system, as does the altimeter and the vertical speed indicator. Now, there's 2 different scenarios in which you're going to be under the hood. One is what we're doing right now, which is basically static state. I'm trying to maintain a heading, trying to maintain an altitude 4,500 feet in this instance. The first instrument that's going to show me if I'm deviating from this when I'm trying to stay straight and level is going to be the VSI. Now, it's real hard to see on the attitude indicator any minor changes in pitch or bank. We will begin and end any changes starting with the attitude indicator, but right now there's no changes going on. We're trying to be steady state, straight and level. So the VSI is going to show you the first indication of a change in altitude. Now, it's true that it has a lag to it, but that's only in terms of the rate. If we want to know whether we're climbing 500 or 700 feet per minute, we do have to wait a few seconds for it to settle in. But any indication that you get above or below 0, if it continues, it's going to eventually change your altitude. So this is the primary instrument for pitch when I'm trying to maintain straight and level flight. Now, if the airplane started to bank one way or the other, it's kind of hard to see little tiny changes on the attitude indicator. I just kicked it into a little bit of a right bank, 2 or 3 degrees. You can barely see it on the attitude indicator, but notice what's going to happen is my heading's going to start to change. So in a steady state, when I'm trying to maintain a straight and level condition, the first thing that's going to show if I have any bank is going to be the heading indicator. So if you've got a heading bug in your airplane, use it, bug it. You'll see first whether you got any bank in there from your heading indicator. The primary and secondary gets a lot of students confused, but the main thing you want to know about that is what is the best instrument that's going to give me real-time information for what's happening in the airplane. Now, if I wanted to begin a turn right now, I can start with the attitude indicator, and while I'm doing this, my scan is continuing. I'm not just fixating on one instrument and omitting others. So I start a bank here. I can start the bank with the attitude indicator and then verify it with the turn coordinator that I have pretty much a standard rate turn going. We're over a little bit of terrain now. We got a little updraft, which is what's kicking up the altitude. Even though we're in a turn, we're still indicating a little bit of a climb. And if I wanted to turn to heading 300, this is going to be my indication of when to roll out of the turn, but for right now I'm maintaining about 15 degrees, standard rate turn, keeping the ball centered. Going to have to push on the yoke to get it back to 4,500 because of that little thermal we got into. And as I come around to my heading, I can roll out, start here by rolling out on the attitude indicator, verify that we're wings level on the turn coordinator, and then substantiate that fact as well with our heading, which is 300. Pretty much have it back to 4,500. I'm having to push a little on the yoke, probably because of that hilly terrain and the heat of the day building up under us, so I'm going to retrim a little bit. One thing you learn about flying under the hood is it's all about trim. Small, minor corrections as soon as possible are much better than much larger corrections much later on. Now, if I wanted to start a climb, let's do it in this same heading. I'm going to start with the attitude indicator, bring it up about a dot above the horizon. I can verify that that is indeed a climb because the VSI is starting to change, and I do have to wait a few seconds for the rate to settle in. So I'm going to work it to around 500 feet per minute. I'm going to need about this much back pressure on it, and I'll trim for that. I think I'll go up to 5,500 feet, which is about 1,000 feet, and at 500 feet per minute should take me a couple of minutes to get there. So now I've changed from straight and level flight. I'm basically going straight, but I'm no longer level. So my primary instrument for pitch right now, the attitude indicator combined with the vertical speed indicator, and I'm just making sure that these things correlate. And then secondarily, of course, the altitude should continue to change as it is. Having to put a little right rudder in there just to keep it coordinated to those left turning tendencies. Remember the formula. Attitude plus power equals performance. So I've got this attitude in there. I've got the same amount of power, so my performance went down substantially. We basically went from about 134 knots straight and level to about 102 knots over the ground and about 92 knots indicated airspeed. So we still have a little bit of a tailwind working for us. And we keep this climb coming. 500 feet per minute. Go another 300 feet, and of course the rule of thumb, it's the same as VFR flying, is you want to begin to level off at about 10% of your rate of climb. So when the airplane gets to about 5450, I'm going to start to lower the nose. And again, when I say slow, I mean slow, gradually. I'm going to initiate that. We're in a steady state right now. It's a straight ahead climb. But we're going to change that, so we're going to start with our primary instrument for change, which is the attitude indicator. There's my 5450. I simply put the dot back on the horizon, and the climb should stop. I can verify that with a VSI. And as it slowly comes back to settle on zero, I'm within about 20 feet of my established altitude. I can make a small, gentle correction for that. And because I had the airplane trimmed for the climb, I'm going to have to retrim it again. Welcome to flying under the hood in IFR flying. It's a constant change in pitch, power, performance, and trimming every step along the way. So just a little bit of back pressure. There we go. And we're back to straight and level flight. Constant state. As long as this stays close to zero, I'm going to stay close to that altitude. And as long as my heading stays to what I had it bugged on, I'm going to stay at that same heading. I'm straight and level.